So it is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. And I really just have to say right off the bat, if you are holding a ticket to a University of Louisville sporting event this week,
Oh, boy.
yeah, you really need to stop what you're doing. Look at that ticket right now, check the date, check the exact time, and definitely check the venue.
Yeah, you're not kidding. It is.
Because what we're looking at today is not just a standard athletic calendar, it's basically a logistical stress test for the entire city.
It really is. We are doing a deep dive into the official University of Louisville Athletics weekly calendar. This is for the week running from today, February 23rd, through Sunday, March 1st. And, usually late February is sort of this transition period.
Right, a buffer.
Exactly. You kind of expect the winter sports to be winding down a bit, and the spring sports are just starting to ramp up, maybe dipping a toe in the water. But this year, the scheduling gods just decided to drop everything on us all at once.
Everything.
We are tracking over 20 separate events across nearly a dozen sports, all jammed into a single 7-day window.
It's like the crossover season on steroids, honestly. You've got the indoor sports hitting their absolute peak. We're talking about championships, conference finales, and they are just crashing head-on into the opening weeks of the outdoor spring sports.
Yeah.
So our mission today is essentially to be your air traffic controllers for this absolute mess of a schedule. We're going to try and separate the road warriors from the homestands and figure out how you can actually prioritize your viewing schedule without getting completely overwhelmed by the sheer volume of games.
Or needing a helicopter to get around, because when you map this out geographically, it's actually fascinating. You have teams scattered in Boston, Atlanta, Chapel Hill, Clemson, and then simultaneously this massive, dense concentration of activity right on the Louisville campus. It's this weird mix of extreme dispersal and extreme density.
Yeah, so let's actually start with that dispersal. Monday night, the week kicks off tonight, not in Louisville, but in arguably the most famous zip code in all of college basketball, Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Right. Tonight, Monday, February 23rd, men's basketball is at North Carolina. Tip-off is 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we really need to pause on that for a second.
The timing.
Yes, the timing. A Monday night conference game is a very specific kind of animal in the ACC. It completely disrupts the usual rhythm. Usually, you're on a Saturday, Tuesday, or a Saturday, Wednesday schedule.
It just throws your body clock out the window.
Yeah.
And playing in Chapel Hill is never just another game. Even if, maybe UNC is having a down year or maybe Louisville is struggling a bit, it doesn't matter. That atmosphere is suffocating.
Always.
Starting the week there, under the lights, it just sets a really high-stress bar right out of the gate for the fan base.
It does. It's a prime time start. You're jumping straight into the fire of ACC competition. The entire athletic department's narrative for the week kind of hinges on this result.
Yeah, that set the tone.
Exactly. But then, let's say you survive Monday night. You wake up Tuesday, February 24th. The transition here is, well, it's pretty jarring.
Whiplash.
Total whiplash. You go from the intense, enclosed pressure cooker of ACC basketball on the road to
fresh air
and the smell of cut grass at home.
Right, because we pivot to the spring schedule. Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern, the baseball team is hosting Eastern Kentucky at Jim Patterson Stadium.
Yep. First home event of the week.
And it's a completely different pace. From a Monday night basketball brawl to a Tuesday afternoon ball game. You kind of settle into the weekly rhythm.
You do, but I will say, and this is something baseball fans know well, a Tuesday game like this against Eastern Kentucky, it's a classic midweek setup. It's a different kind of tension for the coaching staff than a weekend series, but it's still crucial for getting your bullpen arms some work and keeping the roster sharp.
It just feels nice for the fan, though. A 3 p.m. Tuesday start.
Oh, yeah. You're taking a half day at work for that.
For sure. And then we move into Wednesday, February 25th. We keep that midday energy, but we switch sports. Lacrosse takes center stage.
Right. They have a game against Canisius at 12 p.m. Eastern at the U of L Lacrosse Stadium.
Noon on a Wednesday.
It's an early one, but it sets up this really nice, leisurely build-up for the week. Monday night hoops anxiety, Tuesday afternoon baseball relaxation, Wednesday lunch break lacrosse.
It feels manageable.
Right. It feels normal.
But then Thursday hits, and the schedule just completely fractures.
Thursday, February 26th is where the Road Warriors theme really takes over. And we have to talk about the track and field team here.
Yes, absolutely.
Usually, on a weekly calendar, track and field gets a single line of text at the bottom. But they are traveling up to Boston for the ACC Indoor Championships, and this isn't just a game. It spans Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
The 26th through the 28th.
Exactly. While other sports have single games, the track and field team is in this continuous, grueling championship mode all weekend in a completely different region of the country.
It's a completely different mindset.
And while they're up in Boston, Thursday evening brings another major road trip. Women's basketball is hitting the road.
Headed down to Atlanta to face Georgia Tech at 6 p.m. Eastern.
So on Thursday, if you're a Louisville fan sitting at home, you are entirely relying on your screens.
Yeah, Thursday is essentially a blackout for home events. You're streaming the track meet and you're watching the women's hoops game on TV. It's the calm before the storm on campus.
And what a storm it is, because we flip the page to Friday, February 27th, and we hit the logjam.
The sheer density of events on Friday is actually laughable. If you are a fan trying to catch everything, you are in for a serious dilemma.
Let's start with the away game really quick, just to get on the board. Women's tennis is down in Atlanta at Georgia Tech at 4 p.m. Eastern, so they're joining the basketball team on that Georgia road swing.
Right. But back in Louisville, the home slate on Friday is it's ridiculous.
It starts at the Ralph Wright Natatorium. The swimming and diving championship qualifying meet begins, and there's no time listed on the calendar for this.
Which implies it's an all-day, ongoing event.
Exactly. Contrasting with scheduled games, this is just a constant hum of activity all day long.
And then the afternoon rolls around, 3 p.m. Eastern. Baseball begins its weekend series against Central Michigan at Jim Patterson Stadium.
So you've got swimming going on, baseball throwing the first pitch. Then, at 5 p.m. Eastern, men's tennis has a prime conference matchup against Miami at the Bass Rudd Tennis Center.
And Miami's not an easy out. That's a massive match.
Huge. And right as they're getting into the thick of their first sets, 6 p.m. hits.
Softball.
Softball. A major series begins against Stanford at Ulmer Stadium.
Okay, so let's synthesize this for a second. Think about the overlap here. You are a fan on campus. Between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m., you have to choose between the late innings of the baseball game, the start of a critical ACC tennis match, and the first pitch of a marquee softball series against Stanford.
All happening practically on top of each other.
You literally have to make tough choices. You can't be in 3 places at once.
And that density just carries right over into the Saturday scramble, February 28th.
Saturday is just intense. It's a midday collision of events.
It really clusters around the early afternoon. At 12 p.m. Eastern, lacrosse hosts Syracuse at the U of L Lacrosse Stadium.
And Syracuse and lacrosse is royalty. That is a massive home game.
It is. And then an hour later at 1 p.m., you have synchronized starts. Baseball plays Game 2 against Central Michigan, and softball plays Game 2 against Stanford.
So again, they start simultaneously at their respective stadiums. You have to pick one.
And while the fans in Louisville are trying to figure out which stadium to sit in, at 2 p.m. Eastern, men's basketball tips off their road game at Clemson.
So there's the contrast. You've got the fans enjoying the home stands, maybe sitting in the sun watching baseball, but they're all going to be checking their phones because the men's basketball team is battling in South Carolina at the exact same time.
That split focus is going to be everywhere in the stands. Plus, don't forget, swimming and diving is still ongoing at the natatorium all day Saturday, and track and field is wrapping up their final day of championships up in Boston.
Every single engine in the athletic department is firing on Saturday. It's the absolute crest of the wave.
But the schedule makers actually saved a very specific kind of drama for Sunday, March 1st.
Super Sunday.
Super Sunday. And honestly, looking at the tennis schedule for Sunday, it is a marathon.
I noticed that. The doubleheader.
Right. Men's tennis has a unique doubleheader at the Bass Rudd Tennis Center. They play Florida State at 12 p.m. Eastern, and then they turn around and play Southern Indiana at 5 p.m. Eastern.
That is a brutal physical test, playing 2 matches in one day, especially when the first one is an ACC opponent like Florida State.
It's a massive test of endurance. And meanwhile, at noon, women's tennis is playing away at Clemson.
And we also have the series finales for the Diamond Sports. Baseball wraps up against Central Michigan at 1 p.m. Eastern.
And softball finishes up their series against Stanford later that evening at 6 p.m. Eastern.
But right in the middle of all that, the main event, the anchor of the entire week.
Women's basketball returns home for a marquee matchup against Notre Dame.
4 p.m. Eastern at the KFC Yum Center.
That is the game you circle on the calendar months in advance.
It's the perfect way to end the week. You have this huge home game against Notre Dame, a massive rival at the biggest venue on the list.
It really is a great narrative arc when you step back and look at the whole week. It starts with a tough road trip to UNC for the men's team on Monday, goes through this absolute chaotic middle phase of overlap on Friday and Saturday, and ends with a massive home showdown against Notre Dame on Sunday.
It's an incredible stretch of sports, and I want to do a quick final tally on some of the recurring opponents here because it's an interesting dynamic. You've got the baseball team playing Central Michigan 3 times this weekend,
Right.
and the softball team playing Stanford 3 times.
There's a unique psychology to those series. When you play a team 3 times in 3 days, familiarity breeds contempt. By Sunday, the batters know the pitchers, the tensions are higher. It adds a whole different layer to the games compared to the single matchups in basketball or lacrosse.
It definitely changes the energy on the field, which actually leads me to a provocative thought I want to leave you with today. We've talked a lot about the sheer number of events happening on campus, especially around that Cardinal Park area on Friday and Saturday.
The home stands.
Right. With so many teams playing at home simultaneously, baseball, softball, tennis, lacrosse, swimming, does the collective energy on campus actually impact the results of the individual games?
That's a great question.
Think about it. We talk about home field advantage all the time. But what about a meta home field advantage? When the baseball crowd erupts for a home run, do the tennis players next door feel that momentum? Does the softball team feed off the energy of the lacrosse crowd walking by?
It creates an ecosystem.
Exactly. Does that collective vibration actually help these teams win? I highly encourage you to get out there this weekend, find a spot between the stadiums, and test that theory for yourself. See if you can feel that energy.
I know I'll be out there. It's going to be a spectacular week.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the U of L athletic calendar. Enjoy the marathon, everybody.